As we initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Petty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Petty Express. In a beautiful
Hey guys, it's Mo and we are back on Lori the Crazy Train Vallow time. I found my heifer horns, so we are back. I do believe that we are still on the same witness, so it is the witness. Hi, JKD Buck, and thank you, Wolfram. Behave. Yes, we should. And Alice G, an 80s music man. Welcome, welcome. So we're still on the same witness. He was the one that kind of collated all of the digital evidence, and now he's going to take us through his magical PowerPoint of knowing, cell phone data. He did like tests and everything. It is a really weird thing to have just come off the Karen Reed case into a case where the detectives are corroborating, cell phone data. They didn't wait 3 years to issue a report, all those things that we've forgotten were a thing. But let's get into this, get our detective going. We are at 1.25 speed. Let's hear, not Ray Barone. Oh gosh, what was the brother's name? No idea.
So Detective, before the break, we had just admitted Exhibit 209, a PowerPoint that you created utilizing the GPS data that was extracted from Charles Vallow's phone, correct?
Yes.
The cell tower data that you obtained through, that you were able to obtain from search warrants on cell phones for Lori Vallow and Alex Cox.
Correct.
As well as incorporating some of the video that you had obtained from Burger King and the Walgreens.
That's right.
Okay. We had attempted to see if you could control this from your location, but you were not able to, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to have you sort of
Thank
tell me
you.
as we go
I knew
through
Brad Garrett.
when to proceed to the next stop, okay?
Very good.
So on this first page, is this just describing for us the cell phones and the data, where you obtained the data from?
Correct.
Okay. Can you talk to us about what we're seeing here? What is this for?
Yes. So I tried to have a slide for each set of records incorporated into the presentation. These are records I was provided. It's not necessarily the case that every one of these things is depicted at some point in the presentation, but these are all the records I was provided, about this number ending in 5452. Throughout the presentation, I'll refer to most of the numbers by their last 4 digits. It's just easier than listing the whole thing out, and they all have unique last 4. So the listed subscribers is listed there, and then also the contact name that was listed in the subscriber records, and then you can see what each of the files was, primarily CSV or XLSX files. These are spreadsheets like you would open in Excel.
Okay. Next.
Yep. Okay, there we are. This is the same title for a different phone number ending 9562. You'll notice this one is T-Mobile, and the way T-Mobile provided their records is a lot fewer spreadsheets. It just happens to be the case that Verizon tends to provide an awful lot of files. It's just the way they maintain their records, and we don't control that.
So some of them have records that one spreadsheet may include everything from calls to cell tower locations, and others, they separate them all out.
Correct. Different businesses choose to keep their records different ways. We don't dictate it. We take what we're given, and then we analyze that.
So this 9562 number is for Lori Vallow.
That's
Note to self, if I'm going to do criming, go with T-Mobile because apparently they keep the least amount of records. That being said, don't crime.
with the subscriber information listed, yes. And here we have the records related to a Verizon number ending 9120, listed subscriber, Mr. Alex Cox. This is again Verizon, so as you can see, we have that multiple number of spreadsheets in the manner that they tend to provide them.
And those are sort of the things that were on those thumb drives when we were talking about
Correct.
each exhibit?
Correct. And then this is going to represent the data extracted from Mr. Vallow's phone after the fact. This report that I incorporates only the locations logged by the device. There's other data on the phone that I don't address here.
Okay. And then you referred to the evidence item of the CH131035-001.
Yes.
And that's impound number for that cell phone.
Yes, that's the Chandler PDSI number for that particular device from which the data was extracted. I mentioned some of this earlier, but again, I have it on the screen here representing that these are location data expressed as latitude-longitude pairs, as you would see in many other circumstances. Any given device may log them more frequently or less frequently, but we can examine the phone and see if they are present. And then for the data point marker, if you would click advance once, when it's represented on the screen, it's going to be represented as a dot with no particular radius, because the way that the device stored the location, it provides a latitude and a longitude, but it doesn't make any assertion as to what the error rate on that is. It just says, here's the latitude and longitude that the device, recorded on this date at this time. As we go through and we're looking at location data inferred from cell site connections, you will see pins on the map, and they're color-coded because one of the easier ways for people to tell which thing we're looking at is what color it is.
No, he's about to tell Mr. Churchill that the U-boats are attacking. He's wearing his very nicest zoot suit. You know, between the judge and this detective, the supply of pomade in the male hair care department is just gone. So if you're in Arizona, and you wanted to look a little dapper, you're going to need to talk to the judge and this detective because they have the pomade. Denise, I know, but this chair is so comfy. I have my feet out right now, and it's just very nice. So I may never get rid of this chair.
So you saw on the last slide, I had assigned the GPS location data the color of red. It's just as an arbitrary assignment. And then we have blue for one of the phone numbers attributed to Lori Vallow. We have purple for one of the other phone numbers attributed to Lori Vallow. We have green for the number attributed to Alex Cox. When you see these, those will be what they're associated with. And also, because that could be hard to remember, each slide that represents those records will have tabs up at the top to remind people of what they represent. We can advance, I think. This shape that you will see when we're dealing with cell site connections, this is a visual representation of what the estimated coverage area of a particular cell site would look like if you were above it looking down. So there's the way that the records are stored and the way that they're returned to us by the cell phone providers. They will indicate a date and a time a connection was made. They'll give sufficient information to identify the tower to which it connected and also the face of the tower. So cell phone towers have multiple faces that a device could connect to, and that's going to indicate a direction generally. And then one can estimate what the coverage area of that face of the tower might be, and that's represented on the map as an estimate of the device's likely location area.
So when we're talking about the cell phone itself giving you the GPS location, is that more specific than this cell tower data that you're receiving from the providers like Verizon and T-Mobile?
Yeah, so there's there's a distinction between precision and accuracy, right? So precision is how precisely the thing is defined. So what area? So when the GPS location data says this exact.
Hey, precision and accuracy. That's what I used to tell my spelling teachers. Now, they didn't seem to want to, give me a couple mulligans, seeing as how I was dyslexic and such. But when it comes to spelling, I have neither precision and or accuracy. So kind of sucked to be me and spelling. But I do like how he is actually taking time to break this down in a non-condescending way. And he's kind of explaining it in a layperson's thing. Again, he's not making it overcomplicated. And for all the people who understood all the cell phonomics, in the Karen Reed case, then could you please explain them to me? Because could we possibly have gotten an expert like this in?
Exact latitude and longitude to some number of decimal places was logged at this time. That's very precise. That doesn't mean it has to be very accurate, but it does mean it's quite precise. What you will see when these devices are connecting to cell towers is you're going to see relatively large areas where the device is inferred to have been. It likely was in that area. This is different because the device didn't record this location. The provider recorded that on this date, at this time, this mobile device connected to this tower on this face, and we know or are able to determine the approximate coverage areas of those towers. But it's not more precise than that. It's a much more general area. This is another representation of that shape. So this shape is derived by people in the industry by testing the way that these antennas work in what's called an anechoic chamber, which is a fancy word for a room that's designed to reduce the interference with the propagation of radio waves. So if this represents what a coverage area might look like under lab conditions, one thing to keep in mind is that the real world basically never mirrors lab conditions. This is an estimated area where you would expect an antenna to likely have coverage, and that's what it's represented for. And then if you click forward, it just shows the direction the antenna face was pointing. If you are looking at one of these shapes on the map, then that center line is what's known as the azimuth, which is essentially just the angle at which that face of the tower was recorded to have been facing.
So you're not able to tell us within this area where the cell phone may have been located?
Not without a different type of data or a separate corroboration. It's to say that the likely coverage area where the device likely was is somewhere in that red shaded area.
And so when you talked about trying to use other sources to verify this, we talked about Charles Vallow's phone and looking at.
Why does this look like a pair of butt cheeks? This is not a good picture. Look, YouTube, I didn't create this. I love how I was just scanning across and I was like, what in the butt cheeks? Well, there you go. Mo has a dirty mind, if you didn't know.
At the GPS data, for instance.
Could
with
have
the
used any
Walgreens.
other color
Are you
but
doing
pink,
the same
though.
thing with the cell tower?
Yes, that's correct. It's with any of
True.
the data that we're given that asserts to represent the location of a person or of a device. One of the first things one wants to ask is, okay, well, how reliable is that? And what ways can we determine if it's reliable? And so in all instances, I'm looking to see other corroboration that that location data appears to be accurate. This is an example of what the mapping will look like that you'll see throughout this. So this is just a section taken from a slide that was generated. And I put it up front so you can see in advance what it's likely to look like at different points. So if you click forward, this is going to represent in Google Earth Pro, they have this timeline slider bar that allows one to interact with what time it is. So up top, that should be visible, and there'll also be notation, and it'll show approximately when the events depicted on the screen took place, and it'll be a range. It can be widened or narrowed as needed. And if you'll click forward. So as we just discussed, the estimated location for the device ending 9120 would be somewhere in that green shaded area. And if you'll click forward, the iPhone, which was recording its locations as pinpoints, those are all expanded out, but you see how the lines all draw to the same approximate place. That means that for a period of time, it was in a same location, and when one clicks on it, they all balloon out to show that they're all tied back to that same place. So you would expect the iPhone to be in the area where those all tied together, and if one zooms in, you get a more precise look at that. And then if you click forward.
Quick question. Did Massachusetts not have access to any of this information, when they could have taken a timeline and, dragged it across and shown exactly where a phone was? I mean, I don't know if it's the mystical vibes in Arizona, but how did they have access to this? And, Arizona did not, or Massachusetts didn't, in a case where the timeline's kind of important.
Then the estimated location for 5452 is somewhere in the lavender shaded area. You'll notice that they're sized differently. This size is an estimate based on cell phone tower density. It can vary by provider and can vary by the area because as a general rule, cell phones seek the strongest connection that they have available to them. So when the device connects to the tower, that tower's area may be greater if there is less density of cell towers around, and it may be smaller if there's more density. And then the last thing is a reminder of what those tabs up top are for. Those are just to help a viewer keep track of what they're seeing on the screen.
All right. So you told us that you mapped just July 11th of 2019, correct?
Correct. So this animation is showing location data derived from the cell phone. So you'll see the tab up top reminding you what the color coding means. And it shows the True by Hilton, 1950 South Santan Village Parkway, and that the location data is in that area in the early morning hours and also in a few areas nearby, but then returns to that area.
Oh, I did that.
Pretty sure I had a math book and or Trapper Keeper with that screen on it.
So we're looking, you have 716, Charles' iPhone is in the area of the True Hilton, so this is AM, correct?
Yeah, so it's, and forgive me, I'm going to use military time because it's what we do, but 0000 is midnight through 716. This animation covers that range of time, and it's playing through what the locations do as one scrolls through that time, including that they end and the True by Hilton. These can be somewhat graphically intensive.
Okay. So as you're continuing through the morning, you continue mapping the GPS of Charles's phone?
Yes, so
Oh, right, it's doing this.
we may need a different machine.
May need to what?
A different machine.
And thank you, Squad Bob, for gifting a membership. And that went to Beth Menzel. So congratulations and welcome to the Church of Mo. We have all the dark chocolate, sarcasm, and true crime. Just, well, not a whole lot of tact or, well, anything nice to say about Lori. But, I mean, does anyone, except for her family?
Okay, this time frame that you saw depicted partially is showing that from 716 to 731, all the individual recorded locations describe a path, and that path leads from the True Hilton along major roadways generally, and then comes at around 731 to the area of 5531 South Four Peaks Place. And then it goes slightly past that to 737, which marks the last outgoing communication sent by the device before the shooting is known to have occurred.
We'll keep trying this one, and if it messed up again, I'll switch to the other one.
All right.
So just so we know, when was the 911 call?
The 911 call was at 8:36.
So
at
almost a full
7:37, you see the
hour.
last outgoing communication, that's a text message sent by the phone?
Correct. This is advancing from 737 to 749 and showing those various location hits in the general area of the Four Peaks Place house. And then at about 7:50, which as it notes is 45 minutes before the call would be made to 911, the device leaves the area. And then it zooms out and it shows that at a 7:52, which is about 43 minutes before the call will be made to 911, the device associated with Alex Cox, specifically the 9120 device, makes an outgoing call to the 9562 device associated with Ms. Lori Vallow.
All right, so we see the little house icon is the residence where the shooting occurred, correct?
Correct.
And we see Lori Vallow's phone at this point at 9:52, utilizing a cell tower that is overlaps some, but it appears to be away from the residence.
Yes, so the pin is the location of the cell tower that is being connected to in each of these cases. So yes, one would notice that the cell tower
Sir,
being...
you did all of this PowerPoint and you put a blue pin in a blue area. I get that you're trying to, but you needed to differentiate the blue a little bit, especially using a lower graphic kind of computer. That being said, I do like the way he's generally organized this and has a timeline with it because it makes more sense, especially in a very timeline dense, case where we're trying to figure out, okay, where was Charles' phone? Where was Alex's phone? And where was one of Lori's phone during this time where she's A, either engaging with Charles, taking his phone, or B, waiting to call 911 as you do.
Serviced for Ms. Vallow's device is a bit farther to the north in this case.
And then you said that there is a call from Alex Cox's cell phone to Lori Vallow's cell phone?
That's correct. So we've added on the map the location of the Burger King at 2865 East Ocotillo Road, and you can see the red dots again representing the GPS locations from Charles Vallow's phone, arriving at around that time. So we're looking from 7:53 to 7:56, and the device is at or near where that Burger King is located.
Also, so she claims, and I know she did get the chicken fries for JJ, but those are typically not a breakfast item. So was there a longer time that she had to wait in the Burger King for them to throw some chicken fingers into the fryer? Because unless Arizona's different, and look, I'm not a, fast food connoisseur. If I'm going to stop for breakfast, it's going to be, well, I know there's a receipt Northwest. I'm just wondering, did she take additional time at Burger King? Was JJ asking for chicken fries a ploy to take more time? Because I do know that those are typically more of an afternoon or lunch and dinner kind of thing. So was she asking for chicken fries using JJ as an excuse? Like, sorry, my son, has autism. Is there any way you can make chicken fries? I know it's not a breakfast item. We'd be willing to wait. I don't know. Maybe Arizona. Look, y'all, the last time I've had Burger King as a breakfast was about a month and a half ago. So maybe chicken fries are on the menu. I don't claim to have an encyclopedic knowledge of what Burger King serves for breakfast. But it does seem like she was trying to use up some time. Oh, AZ has chicken fries all day. Well, then never mind. Also, 1 point for Arizona. I didn't think I'd have a good thing to say about it, but chicken fries all day, my youngest, most feral would be very impressed.
And so when you went to Burger King, let me ask this, the prior map that we saw, did that cell tower cover the area of where this Burger King was or is?
It may have. The thing is, all these locations are estimates, so it's in the area. It likely covered it, yes.
Did you then utilize that video that we talked about to confirm that Charles Vallow's phone showing in this area appeared to match the SUV as well as Ms. Vallow being there?
Yes, it appears to match this visit to the Burger King, which we are now seeing. This is the video that I recovered from the Burger King.
All right, so this was a video so you could identify the vehicle and at least see the license plate on that?
Correct.
And just the audacity to use the car that Charles rented. Again, Lori's entitlement knows no boundaries, but this I find, again, if you were terrified of Charles, if you were in any way, the way she claims she was terrified of Charles, you wouldn't take his rental car. This woman had no fear of him. She took his phone, according to her, basically was wandering away, taunting him, just daring him to do something. So none of it adds up, but just the bald-faced audacity to use his rental car, it just has always struck me as something so incredibly just bankrupt.
And as you watched it, this one doesn't depict or you can't see the driver on this video, right?
Right, there's another view coming up.
Okay. So this one just shows us hands going in and out.
It does. It shows the view showing the vehicle. This is one of the views that they have of their drive-through.
So if we forward to the next slide.
Thank you,
Yes.
Major
We will
Mom.
see from the inside the service.
Correct. So this is their drive-through window view. Again, at 7:54. Bless you.
And so did this appear to match the receipt that you had received?
This did appear to match the receipt, and this I was told as well, and that document was associated with this transaction.
So the time matched up as well as what they appear to be purchasing in the
Correct.
video?
Correct.
Northwest, I don't know if she did or if JJ, wanting to be with his dad was like, hey, Dad, maybe Charles always took him to Burger King. I don't know. It is weird that there were so many weird things done that day. And I think it might have been used for an alibi, but I don't give Lori that much credit. I think she just wanted to get the kids out of the house so that Alex could stage whatever, make it look like Charles had been in attack mode. That being said, these two are terrible at crime.
Now, in this video,
Thank you,
were you able
Northwest.
to see if there was someone in the back seat?
I can't particularly tell if there's someone in the back seat.
So you could tell there was a passenger, though.
Front seat passenger, yes. All right, so we see the vehicle pulling away. It's almost 7:56 according to their timestamp. We can now advance. This video as well is going to show at about 7:56 as the vehicle leaves from that view at the drive-through.
Yeah, we're slowly getting it together.
So again,
Things
we're seeing that
things might still change because we're trying to figure out this chair can go all the way back, so making sure it has enough room and different things, but slowly and surely it's coming together, and I will get my stuff back together as soon as we get the new closet in, because that's where I'll be hanging a lot of my stuff. But I do like having my own room. It's very nice.
the times that are documented on Charles's phone seem to appear with what you're looking at from other independent sources.
That's correct. So here we have the location data from Mr. Vallow's iPhone is now moving north. You see those few hits that are rendered in red. That's from 7:56 to 8:06. So that's the time that the vehicle just left and going forward 10 minutes. And then at 8:06, there is this outgoing call from Alex Cox's device to Lori Vallow's device. And you can see the service area for Ms. Vallow's device has also moved north to an area that covers the same area where you see those red data points for Mr. Vallow's iPhone.
So now it's clear that from the mapping that Charles Vallow's phone, the GPS data appears to be in the general area of where Lori Vallow's cell phone is utilizing a cell tower.
That's correct.
And Alex Cox's phone appears to be utilizing a cell tower in the area of the residence at 5531 South Four Peaks.
That's correct.
Then we have a phone call at 8:06. At this time, has 911 been called?
Nope. This location data now goes to an area where there is a Walgreens in Chandler. This is, again, location data from Mr. Vallow's phone. And then it goes north and west to a different Walgreens. This Walgreens at 785 South Cooper Road is the one from which I eventually obtained video. And we see it's arriving around 8:16 in the morning.
Did you go to that other Walgreens?
I did not go to that other Walgreens.
Did you call them?
I did not.
So you picked the right one. You called this Walgreens. Were you able to see that the phone was there for a while?
Yes,
And did that give you a clue that this was the Walgreens that might have some relevant information?
more likely correct.
So we see those red dots again identified as Charles Vallow's
We'll do
iPhone, the GPS
Northwest.
data that was extracted from it. And we see that his phone is in that area around 8:08.
Well, it moves to that area. So at 8:08, it was at the one on Lindsay. And then from 8:08 to 8:17, it moves up to the one on Cooper. And that's where we are now, is at around 8:17.
And we can tell that from the, up on the left-hand corner.
The slider up
slide.
top. Yep.
Okay. So then you went to that Walgreens after you confirmed and you obtained video from them?
That's right.
And is this the video?
Wait, I'm going to slow it down because I want to see her feet. Because did this heifer lie and say she didn't have shoes on?
After you confirmed and you obtained video from them?
That's
All right, we're going Zapruder film on this one. We're slowing it down.
That Walgreens after you confirmed and you obtained video from them?
That's right.
Yeah, you
And
can
is
see
this the
shoes
video?
on.
This is the video. You can see the timestamp at 8:16 as she walks in.
This heifer.
And then I think we can advance to the next. So these are just
You can
multiple
see
views.
him. You can see the strap over her big old foot, her little hoof. Damn it, you heifer. How you going to lie about not having shoes on when I can see them on your big old honking feet? Daggone lying heifer.
That they had the video at the door was motion activated, so I don't control when it starts or ends. Those are the clips that they had.
So she's buying 2 pairs of flip-flops.
As indicated in the receipt.
Probably like my husband was being all abusive and such, and he made me run without flip-flops on. Unfortunately, I can see your little flip-flop hoof on the floor. That was probably it.
You'll see on
Although,
their timestamp,
if
we're
she
now
was
up to
wearing
8:20.
slides is what it looks like. Yeah, that's the other thing. I understand it's early,
Yeah, I think
but
we
it
can
would
go
have
to the next
still
slide.
been
All right,
warm.
so this shows now a time span from 8:17 to 8:33. You see that the next location hits move over to Lawrence Life Academy at 8:33 at 1305 South Gilbert Road. So this is a couple minutes before the 911 call. And then we see the 911 call depicted in that coverage area in the green towards the bottom of the screen. And it shows 8:35 and 54 seconds is when the outgoing 911 call is placed. It shows that
Point
number there,
Northwest.
2911, indicating that the call is outgoing from the 9120 number associated with Mr. Alex Cox. And the last location data that we see in this time span for Mr. Vallow's iPhone is up by the Gilbert and Ray area.
So where we see that red dot is where Lawrence Life Academy is, or in the general area of that.
Correct.
And then we see that still back at the residence at 5531 South Four Peaks is Alex Cox's cell phone, and this is when he finally makes the 911 call at 8:35.
That's correct.
So
This is
damn
an
near an
excerpt from the Chandler
hour.
Police Department's CAD report in this manner, showing the call received and connected at 8:36 and 21 seconds. And this is specifically relative to this case. You can see our report number in the first line of text entered by the call taker.
And is that, again, to verify that phone call you're seeing occurring on Alex Cox's phone records matches up with what is being received?
Exactly. And then here at 8:49, we would see, looking at the location data on Mr. Vallow's phone, it's moving south, and that it's about at 8:49 that it arrives in the neighborhood at 5531 South Four Peaks Place, rather, and specifically on that street. So just looking at the data, you would expect the device has now arrived in the area of the house at about 8:49.
Now, you told us that this GPS data, that you have no control over when a phone is documenting that. So it's not like every minute or every 5 minutes that it does that.
Correct.
You're just given the data you're given. That's when it marked again that where it was.
Correct.
Did you then, again, to try to confirm that this is in fact, his phone is back in the area by looking to body cam footage to show the arrival of Lori Vallow and Tylee Ryan?
Correct. So one way of corroborating if the device is traveling with her and if it arrives at about the same time, our body cameras are all time stamped. The officer happened to be wearing his upside down, so I'll fix that for you in a moment on this slide, but you can see the timestamp there. And if we advance, I highlight a couple of things about this slide. I highlight the sandals. I invert the timestamp so you can read it properly, and I do the conversion because it's in Zulu time, which is Greenwich Mean Time, which is always 7 hours ahead of Arizona. So you have to do a little conversion to get to 8:48 in the morning.
So that again matches with the GPS data from Charles Vallow's phone showing that his phone was now back on scene.
Correct.
Now, you continued to track the phone for the day.
Yes, so this shows a time span 8:49 to 9. The phone is near the Four Peaks house.
Major Mom, this trial is the trial of Lori Vallow in Arizona. It's the one with Charles Vallow. Hopefully by the start of this next week, if we hit the rest of today, or get the rest of the today, or day 6 in today, and then day 7 in tomorrow, we should be ready for Brandon Boudreaux this coming week. And I will be going over her appeals. I doubt any of them are going to have legs, but it is Lori Vallow, and perhaps Noah's Ark of Redemption will come and get her. She has reminded me to watch Evan Almighty, because theologically, I think that's right in the level of fantasy that she lives in.
As was Alex Cox's device. Advancing a little bit, we see that now Alex's device is up in the area of the Chandler Police Department. And another way that I can check that that appears to be accurate is that I know that he was transported there at about that time.
All right, so we saw, before this went purple, that Lori Vallow's cell phone and Alex Cox's cell phone were in the area of the 5531 South Four Peaks,
Yes.
along with Charles's iPhone.
Yes.
And then we see movement of Alex's phone to the Chandler Police Department.
Yes, that area where it was at the end of the slide before the animation overpowered.
I know. It's just so nice to see that he's cross-referencing data. Again, there were a couple cases just recently where we could have cross-referenced cell phone data with other things that could be corroborated, and then we could possibly understand what the hell happened. Canton, I'm looking at you.
The machine was showing a coverage area that includes the Chandler Police Department.
So what are we seeing here then?
Okay, this is just advancing forward through the day, so showing that if you go to the noon hour, then between 12:13 and 12:36, the device moves up to an area by Santan Village Parkway and the 202. And then there is a tower connection with Ms. Vallow's device ending in 9562, showing that device is also in an area served by that tower.
So in this time frame then of 12:30, we see both Charles Vallow's cell.
Northwest, do you know how she got the second cell phone? Because now we've moved to where there's a purple, so or she could, because wouldn't she still be in the police department during this time? How did she get her burner phone? Unless she had it with her and didn't turn it on. I don't know.
Cell phone, GPS data, and Lori Vallow's cell phone utilizing a cell tower in the area of Santan.
Yes, that's right. So this is again showing the trail of those location data points moving forward in time as Charles Vallow's device is moving roughly.
This is not the crazy heifer you want. Lori's like, I am not the heifer you seek. Well, but didn't Lori have two phones? Because one is in the blue and one was in the periwinkle, I thought. Okay, Jedi Jess. I thought, no, that makes sense. I just couldn't figure out where she had gotten her. You know, he probably could. She bought a second phone when Charles stole her purse in January. Okay. So that makes sense. This woman has got more layers than onion parfait from, well, all Shreks, all first three Shreks.
East. And you can see also connections made by Lori Vallow's phone and by Alex Cox's phone in similar areas at similar timeframes until we get to a point where the device arrives at this house at 1658 East Shari Street in Santan, which I understand to be Mr. Alex Cox's residence at the time.
All right, so the address of 1658 East Shari Street in Santan was Mr. Cox's residence. And now at 140 or so, 130 to 140, we're talking about Charles Vallow's phone sending GPS data that it's in that area.
Yes, that's correct. So now looking at 1342 to 1407, so that's 142 to 2:07 p.m. You see multiple tower hits from both of Lori's devices, and you also see persistent GPS location data from Mr. Vallow's device in that same area. Specifically, this call that you're seeing now in the lavender is known to be a call made to Detective Inkland's desk phone.
All right, so we have Lori Vallow in the area of utilizing a cell tower in the area of her brother Alex's house, along with Charles Vallow's iPhone being in that.
Lily Tino has an OnlyFans and Cornhub account. Is that look, I'm going to be safe and say individual that is going to Disney World and taking videos in the ladies' restroom? Because, ick. I mean, hey, it's your OnlyFans money. If you'd like to see that, personally, that's not a role of the D20 I'm going to take. But bless their heart. That being said, it's your OnlyFans money. Spend it however you want to. That's not going to be nope. I would rather look at Janet Reno's OnlyFans. Thank you. And I don't want to do that either.
That area of his house.
Correct.
And then we see a call to Detective Inkland's
Okay, that
desk
makes
phone,
sense, Northwest.
by Ms. Vallow.
That's correct.
And were you aware that Detective Inkland had called Lori to ask them to return to the scene?
I was aware of that.
Were you actually at the scene?
At that time, I don't think so.
Okay. You were there earlier.
That's correct.
Wait, didn't they also make a video of how one would do a bottom surgery with a a Disney World corn dog for reasons I have yet to fathom that was a good idea. Good Lord.
So,
No, I'm going to correct that. I was there at that time.
okay, you were still at the
I was
scene.
still at the scene at that time, yes.
2 o'clock.
Yes.
All right, so this next map or slide that we see, what is this time frame we're seeing?
Okay, so this advances just a little bit. So it's 1409 to 1418. Again, we still see red location hits for Mr. Vallow's
You're
iPhone.
fine.
We still see blue for Ms. Vallow's 9562 number. And we see this lavender one come up for her 5452 number. It's an outgoing call to a particular phone number that I know to be associated with the Valley of the Sun mortuary. If you advance to the next slide.
Maybe.
Oh, now you can advance. I was just highlighting the number. This is that same number on their website.
So at go back, at 2:18, Lori
Correct.
Vallow is calling the Valley of the Sun mortuary.
Yes.
They wouldn't have released Charles' body to her, I wouldn't think. Well, Jedi Jess, that's the thing. I don't personally care what you do in your own life, but you've got these people out there that just make a spectacle of themselves and bring all this negative attention. I personally don't care, but I also don't want people filming me in the restroom. Oh, he did go to the county morgue. Why is Lori calling a mortuary? Again, his body's not going to be released to her. I know she probably hasn't even watched one Law and Order, crime thing or one, special victims unit. So she probably didn't realize this. But yeah, he doesn't get released to you, sweetie.
So here we advance this area. This is going up closer to 243. You'll see location data for the iPhone starts trending westward and is eventually going to arrive again in the area of 5531 South Four Peaks. That's at about 3:11 p.m. when it arrives in that area.
Now, you indicate in one of the icons up there that from 209 to 243 or 1409 to 1443, that you also had noted Lori's, both of her phones associated with her, the Verizon and T-Mobile.
Well, yeah, Shana Gran, I realized that, yeah, her being a next of kin would help, but he died in a violent way that would be considered a homicide, regardless of whether it was later determined to be self-defense. I would figure there would have to be at least some time where they do the autopsy before he's released back to her. That being said, oh, that would burn my biscuits to have to release Chad back to her, knowing what she did. Or not
Alex's
Chad,
body
Charles.
were initially in the area of Alex's house in Santan, and that's sort of throughout that time period, you're saying.
Correct.
And then we see initially Charles's GPS coming back to the residence at 5531 South Four Peaks and arriving there around 243.
Arriving there around 3:11. Yep, correct.
So we know that because we have to again look at the slide up at the top. That's when it arrives there.
Correct.
Well, Joe Schmo, I do remember, Kay Woodcock talking about the fact that his remains were shipped back to the family, but that Lori didn't take time to, call anyone in the family. I think she texted Charles's older sons or adult sons. So I do remember from earlier in the trial, some of my notes that I do know he was cremated and he was sent via email, or not email, damn it, mail. But I couldn't quite figure out, again, how long it took I'm waiting for the lead detective to kind of tell me where they stood as far as where they thought this whole self-defense thing was. Hopefully the lead detective, Detective Moffat, or Hertzheimer will be able to explain kind of their reasoning, because I know that Lori isn't allowed to ask why weren't they at all arrested, but I do want to hear kind of from them after their first lay of the land in those, after those, 72 hours, what was the status of the case? Because that's the part that's not made a whole lot of sense to me as an outsider looking in, why it took Arizona so long. Now, I will say that given Northwest makes a really good point that on the day, you had 3 people that were all corroborating each other. Unfortunately, there are, inner family struggles that means that this sadly isn't something they are unused to seeing. So it is very odd, but I do wonder when that sort of thought, okay, well, something seemed hinky, but we didn't have enough to cover it, and when they started looking at this more fully.
After that, did you become aware that Charles Vallow's cell phone was handed over to Detective Van Clen?
I did.
And then presented to someone later in your forensics unit to download, extract, so that you could use it for instance, this?
Correct. It was assigned that item number I listed earlier in the report, and then it was submitted for extraction, and that's how I eventually obtained that location data that you've just seen.
Did you look at any other days to do GPS data?
I did not.
Was this day looked at because you were trying to see what was going on with both Miss Vallow, Alex Cox, as well as Charles, and later just his phone?
Yes, specifically, we initially had concerns about the timeline I was initially asked to look at, and I looked at it at that time, noting those issues, which led to recovery of video and things. Is not primarily my case.
Ladies and gentlemen, the phones need to stay off or you will be asked to leave the courtroom.
As it's not primarily my case, beyond that, I would have done whatever else I was asked to do, but I wasn't asked to look at other days in this case.
So ultimately, your what you determined was that the timeline of Lori Vallow leaving when the 911 call was and returning back was not accurate.
Yes, as I understood, based on, again, the multiple different ways now that we're able to corroborate location not only of devices that are relevant, because we knew at this point that she had Charles's phone. We knew numbers for her phones. We have video of her at various places. It led to the inescapable conclusion that either the shooting did not happen that close in time to the 911 call, or that she wasn't there for the shooting. I could not see a third way of interpreting that data.
Thank you. I have no other questions for this witness.
All right, cross.
Ooh, Lori, come on, you can do it. Were you aware I didn't have any flip-flops on? Get your smart people glasses on,
Detective
chica.
Werther, you had submitted a report on 12/26/2019, is that correct?
That sounds correct?
And have you had a chance to review that at all before your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. So I found some interestingly contrasting things in your report that you reported on that date. You made a note of his daily text message of love and devotion to me. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Okay.
What in the name of Fritos and Chipotle? Were you aware that he loved me a lot and he sent me a text message every day? No. Oh, Northwest, I need to get on that. I did wonder if this was going to be something where his defense was going to try to focus on the more existential threat of him possibly getting the DP in the murder trial, to focus all their efforts on that and basically plea to all the child grossness, which was the first trial coming up. So I definitely am going to be doing some work on that tomorrow. I know that everyone wants to see Steven Stearns or Stefan or look, that gross, disgusting douchebag. No defense. Yeah, well, There's no defense for anything he did, but I think that they're going to want to focus their energy on the murder trial because that does carry, a capital charge. That being said, I'm not a lawyer or a doctor, and I can't explain what this man did or why the mother still isn't in prison. But that's a rant for another stream.
Then you also made a note of his interactions with women he was attempting to date. Is that correct?
I do remember that.
Okay. Detective Werther, in your report on page 103, you indicate that Charles went to the airport to meet Florence Hughes and found that she
Object to
never boarded.
relevance.
Is that correct?
Hold on.
Object to relevance.
What's the relevance of that?
It's just in his report, Your Honor, and I was just going over it to see if,
Well, everything in a police report isn't necessary.
Her ass is so chafed that Charles was moving on. She has spent more time investigating his movements on dating sites than she did her entire damn case. Ma'am, you had moved on and you were boinking Chad. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why it chafes your ass so much that Charles was moving on, other than the fact that you thought you could always use his money and keep him, tagging along with you. And he wasn't playing by your rules anymore. But I love that she has spent the bulk of her investigative fortitude on, were you aware that he was a married man when you were dating? Okay, ma'am.
Fairly relevant. Well, how's it relevant to this case?
it's relevant to show what was going on in this, right before this happened. This events happened within June and July.
All right, it's the objection sustained.
Did you learn who Florence Hughes was?
And I'm going to object again to relevance.
Sustained.
In your report, Detective, you find evidence that Charles did in fact send someone $1,000.
And I would object to relevance again.
Sustained.
And I would object to relevance to all of these types of questions.
When you had, what was your role in going through the data from the phone, from my husband's phone?
So primarily, I went through the location data because of the concerns we had about timeline. I know I went through other data associated with other accounts, but I don't believe I specifically went through the phone extraction outside of the location data.
Okay. But in your report, you made a lot of notes to these things, but that wasn't what you were looking for? You just happened upon it? How did that happen?
So there are things found, I think many of those may be related to a Google account. And yes, as certain things were being accomplished, as a team, sometimes you'll task out and say, would you look through this to see what you find that may be relevant? And it isn't always clear up front in an investigation what's going to be relevant. So when I see communications between people without knowing the full story, particularly when I'm not the primary case agent, I may note things because I want to make sure the case agent knows of them so he or she can decide if that's a thing that needs to be pursued further. And if they think it is, then they can ask me or someone else, or they can do it themselves. But that would be why some of those things are documented.
Okay. And you wrote them in your report because you thought they might be relevant?
Yes, not knowing the full case, I noted things like that that may be relevant.
And that would need to go to the case agent so he could decide if those were relevant or not as well?
Correct.
Yes, Lori, you have cottoned on to the big plan. If he's not in charge of things and he's not running the case, then yes, he doesn't know what's relevant. He doesn't know if he should be looking at emails or who Charles is possibly going to try to date. He just makes note of, hey, there are communications from X, Y, and Z, and maybe you should give a look at it if you think it's something relevant. This woman, I'm glad Lori's finally beginning to learn what happens in a police investigation. I mean, she's only 5 years into being convicted, so good job.
The case agent has much fuller information, particularly as a long-term investigation goes on.
Well, under suspicion,
As
not
somebody who's just
convicted.
helping out with certain tasks, it's not always obvious to you what things are going to be relevant to the person who knows the entirety of the case.
So you mentioned in your report that on July 10th, there was a scheduled phone date with Nancy Jo Hancock. Is that correct?
For
I
God's
think I did indicate
sake.
that in my report, yes.
Okay. And then on the next day, there was another date scheduled with a Jennifer Gilbert at 12 o'clock.
That sounds correct.
And then the next day, there was another date scheduled with a Juliet at 10 a.m.?
And obviously trying to smear the victim.
All right, the objection sustained.
Detective, did you find searches for these dates
Can I
for my
object?
husband back
Hold
to?
on.
If we can do a
Hold on.
sidebar.
Sustained.
This is a different question,
No,
Your Honor.
whether he went on dates or had dates scheduled is not relevant to this case.
Thank you, Judge Bersky. I'm glad. Bring back sanity. Yeah, no one cares if Charles was banging the entire, lineup of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. I don't care. It's not relevant to this case. And kudos to him if he got a cheerleader. I mean, those Dallas Cowboys, I always want to call them cowgirls, but I know they're cowboy cheerleaders, which, look, I'm not a sports person.
Ask another question. You can ask about the date of the person that testified the night before because that person was in here and had some relevant information. But other than that, any of these other questions are not relevant.
Detective, you talked about going with Detective Moffett to the hotel room where you found my husband's laptop. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And then was also his iPad in there?
I believe so.
And then you said some suitcases,
Correct.
maybe his briefcase was like a rolling suitcase?
It may have been. We may be describing the same thing differently. I didn't personally inventory the items. I helped to package them and take them back to the station.
Okay. So when you got that, does that stuff go in evidence bags? I mean, how does that work when you got to the hotel room? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. There are different ways that one could do it. Pardon me. If the crime had occurred at the hotel room, it might be done in a different way. In this case, just clearing out someone's hotel room, instead of unpacking everything there and searching through all of it in the hotel room and then repacking it all there, sometimes it's much more appropriate to take the items as they are, seal them up, take them back to the station and impound them where they can be dealt with later as needed. So that's what we did in this case.
And then so with the electronic devices, were they off already or were they on? How did that work out?
I didn't check the condition of them, but I also didn't alter the condition of them.
So nobody got on there and opened it up or anything to see if it was powered on or not?
I did not do that.
Okay. And it was just you and Detective Moffett in there, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So after you collect all those things and then you take them with you to go to evidence, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And so how long about do you think that you were there at that hotel room?
I no longer recall exactly how long we were there.
And then is someone documenting that? Like as you're putting together things, someone's writing down what that is, what you're taking?
Oh, writing down what the items are. Yes, we do document what the items are that we're taking, typically by at the station entering that into our report management system where they're assigned numbers like the one that you saw for the cell phone earlier. And then an evidence continuity begins when they're submitted to the property and evidence unit.
And then was there anything left in there that wasn't taken? I mean, just kind of clear out all of his things.
Anything left in the room?
Correct.
I do not believe we left anything in the room.
Okay. So then all of the things were taken into custody and that was the end of your association with them?
That's right.
Okay. But you were instrumental in delivering them, is that correct?
Yes, I assisted in packaging and delivering them, yes.
And that was just you and Detective Moffett?
Yes, that's right.
In the course of your investigation, Detective, did you become aware of the $2 million life insurance policy Charles had on me?
I'm not aware of that.
Hey, Lori, this dude testified for over 2 hours and he said exactly what he was in charge of, which was more digital evidence, corroborating your timeline and things like that. He would not have known if you had a fictitious life insurance policy. And the logic of this just doesn't make sense to me that Charles is going to be covered for less than Lori is when Charles was the main breadwinner. It doesn't make sense. I can see them having similar or equal life insurances, but the fact that hers is larger when she, again, wasn't the head breadwinner of the family doesn't make sense.
In the course of your investigation with my husband's phone, did you come across the threatening text messages from him to me?
I don't believe I saw text message content from his phone. From the phone, I restricted what I was looking at to location data I had been given. So I'm not aware of contents of the phone.
Okay.
Again, Lori, if you'd listened to any of his stuff.
And then, Detective, what was your role back at the house at 4 Peaks Place. Approximately what time did you arrive and then leave the scene?
I arrived, it's indicated in my report, and I wouldn't want to hazard a guess because I don't recall, but I remained at the scene essentially, as mentioned, to shadow and observe the way these investigations are conducted. I know I was still there when the medical examiner arrived. I know I was still there when Mr. Cox came back, but exactly what time I left, I do not know.
Okay. And you mentioned you were shadowing Detective Kuntz, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you stay with him the whole time?
Yes.
And so you just kind of helped him doing what he was doing?
Yes, and I'm not confident how much I was there helping as much as observing. I didn't actually perform any particular tasks while I was there because, again, I was not on the team yet.
So you were observing mostly?
Mostly.
And then did you take notes while you were observing or just
I did not.
physical with the eyes?
I was just there to observe, yeah.
Okay.
I get it, Tammy. This is about the time I have been just crashing out most days.
You had
I'm
mentioned
just
that
proud of me
you
for
had
being
called me on
awake.
July 12th, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And that I had told you that I had when you asked me about information about JJ's school, I gave that to you, correct?
Correct.
And then I told you that I had the hotel key, is that correct?
Correct.
And you indicated that you'd send someone over to pick it up.
Well, yes, I
Correct.
said I would check with the case agent, and that's probably what would happen.
And then, so did you contact Detective Moffett and discuss that with him?
I did.
And then he sent you over to the house to get it?
Well, we agreed to go together. Oh, to the house, I'm sorry.
Oh, to come pick up the card key?
Yes, I think we agreed that I would go do that, yes.
Okay, what about time was that? Was that on the 12th?
It was on the 12th, it's in my report, I think it was the 2 o'clock hour.
Okay. And then you weren't with Detective Moffett at that time?
I was not.
And then when did you guys actually go to the hotel to pick up that stuff?
We went right after that.
Oh, it was immediate?
Yes.
Come on, Lori. Let's come up with another question.
How long, Detective, did you analyze all this data before you did your report?
Well, that could be a complicated question because initially I only looked at the location data I had been provided. And initially we were only dealing with location data from Mr. Vallow's phone. And then I wasn't heavily involved in the investigation after that point. As I recall, I was actually out of town some, and so I wasn't heavily involved. And then if you advance to some years later when I had learned more how to interpret cell phone records, and those cell phone records still existed, I was asked to look at them and to incorporate them into an overall analysis. So that now we're talking about something that occurred several years later. And the exact amount of time I spent doing that, I don't know exactly how long that would have been. I still did restrict my analysis to just that one calendar day.
In the first place, and then you got more data later?
I know there is more data, but I have not gone through and done a thorough analysis of all of the data that has been assembled over the course of whatever time frame has been determined to be relevant in this case. I was asked to look at the day of the event.
Okay. But you had other data in this report that was dated 12/26, is that correct?
Yeah, that seems right.
How long before that 12/26 report did you spend compiling data? That's kind of my question, like weeks or months or just a few days?
I'm not sure I fully understand that question. So if this is what you're asking, when you write, for example, a search warrant to an internet service provider, let's say for somebody's Google or for something similar to that, once you send that, you just have to wait. And at some point they give it back to you. And then once they give it back to you, you go through it and you see what's contained in that. You save it to the side as evidence and then you create a copy so you can go through that. And that's what I did. The amount of time I spent doing that, that's not something that we log.
Okay.
Lori, do you possibly have a map to where in the faintest, foggiest hell you're going with this? He only looked at the location and the timeline on that one day. He's not looking for dates. He's not looking for anything else. Wherever the faint, foggy hell you're going with this, I don't get. But again, he also didn't join the major conspiracy meeting of where we were all going to, screw you over and make you look guilty, even though you're a neophyte or whatever the hell you are. I was going to say Nephilim, but that's a whole different genre of weirdness.
But your report goes from, I guess, Bates page 88 to 105, so
Howdy,
about 8
howdy.
pages worth of data, yeah? Say?
I'm not sure, is that a question?
Or maybe it was even longer. Did you go to Lawrence Life Academy at any point?
I did not.
And were you able to identify JJ in the front seat of the car at the Burger King?
I wouldn't say that I can definitely identify him.
That looked like Tylee.
That you indicate possible juvenile.
That looked like Tylee in the front seat in Burger King. And typically, and again, the rules change all the time. So, but I don't know that JJ would have been tall enough or weight enough to be in a front seat or considered safe to be in a front seat. Oh, it was JJ in front? Okay. I thought it looked like Tylee, but I guess I was expecting Tylee because with my kiddos and new regulations, or at least the latest one, that you have to be over 4'9", I think, and 90 pounds to be able to sit in the front seat. At least that's what the last thing I remember. So we kind of have a hard and fast rule that if you're not a teenager, you don't sit in the front seat. So very different.
Short dark hair in front passenger seat. Is that correct?
That's what I was able to see on the video.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all we have, Your Honor.
All right, redirect.
When you went to the True Hilton Hotel and picked up all of Charles Vallow's personal property, did you ever review anything from his laptop? Were you provided with extractions from his laptop that you reviewed?
I think I was at one point provided that, yes.
Did you use any of that data from the laptop in creating your PowerPoint?
No,
Did you review any extractions from his iPad?
I don't believe I reviewed the iPad.
So obviously, did you use that in your PowerPoint?
No.
In your understanding, why were you only asked to look at the day of July 11th of 2019?
My understanding specifically was because we were looking at the very significant to us fact that the timelines that we had been told appeared to be inaccurate. The purpose of what I looked at was to examine whether that inaccuracy was supported by or refuted by various different types of location data, video data, other evidence. And again, that's specifically what I looked at is, does it appear that this device, as I had been told, was actually traveling with Miss Vallow, or does it not appear to be the case? And it doesn't matter to me what the outcome was, but as you can see, there are indications that it was. Beyond that, if someone had asked me, oh, well, now there's some relevant question we want you to look at an expanded timeline for, I would have been happy to do so, but I was not asked to do that in this case.
So were you trying to determine whether or not it was accurate if you had not or been advised that the shooting occurred just before 911 was called?
Correct.
And did what you learned match up with that?
No, again, as I said, I will say that the device has clearly departed the scene well before the 911 call and does not return until after the 911 call. The distances make it entirely implausible that the device went all that way that quickly, plus the timestamps are logged prior to the event. And so again, I could see only two possible interpretations. either the shooting happened much earlier than we were told, or the device and the person bearing it, which I understand to be Ms. Vallow, left well before the shooting occurred. I don't see a third option.
Thank you. No other questions?
Are there any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? I don't see any. Sir, you can step down.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to.
All right, members of the jury, I've been informed that a witness that was scheduled for this afternoon has become ill and would not be able to.
We will go into the next day. Nope. Oh. Share this tab instead. And we are on to day 7. Oh God, the baby ponytail's back. We're in for stupidity.
All right, it's 10:30 a.m. Time set for trial in State of Arizona versus Lori Daybell, CR 2021-001704. The parties are present, jury's not present. Are we ready to bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense ready to bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
State will call Detective Nate Duncan.
All right, sir, go ahead and stand up here and be sworn in.
Please plug your name for the record. Do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will keep the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good morning. My name is Nathan Duncan. I'm a detective with the Chandler Police Department Robbery Homicide Unit.
How long have you worked for Chandler Police Department?
Well, I'm 2 months shy of 25 years.
Can you tell us the different areas you have worked?
After graduating from the academy in September of 2000, I went into the patrol unit, as a patrol unit, for about three and a half years. I then left there and became a detective, working for approximately the next 11 years in our property crime section. And in the last 10 plus years, I've been working in the robbery homicide unit.
In your career, have you been asked to write search warrants to obtain and review cell phone records?
I have.
In your career, have you been asked to write and obtain search warrants for iCloud records?
Yes, I have.
And in your career, have you been asked to basically write search warrants for all different types of social media and digital media?
Yes.
On July 11th of 2019, were you working that day?
I was.
And what were your hours at that time?
During that time, so weekdays, days, and I believe at the time I was on a Tuesday through Friday schedule, 10-hour shifts.
So on Thursday, July 11th of 2019, did you learn of a shooting at 5531 South Four Peaks Place in Chandler?
I did.
How did you learn about it?
I actually had learned by listening to the radio, or heard the call.
Okay, I know this is again one of those sidetracked ADHD moments, but he has incredibly meaty earlobes. And I don't know how I noticed that or why I noticed that, but I mean, those are some hunkin' earlobes. If you look at him straight on, he's got like a good, well, I mean, I don't know if that's an inch, but it looks like an inch earlobe. That being said, welcome to Mo's sidetrack. You know, this is the reason I take notes, you guys, because otherwise I'm like, damn, he has some meaty earlobes.
Kick out and of the shooting at the Four Peaks location, and then soon after that received a phone call to assist detectives at that location.
When you arrived at the scene, can you describe for us what you saw?
Yes, I believe I parked to the west of the location. When I arrived, I saw crime scene tape had already been placed. There were emergency vehicles such as fire vehicles and police present already. I then walked towards the front of the house where other detectives had gathered and spoke with them regarding the case, and then we were given tasks.
When you arrived, was Alex Cox still on scene, or did you see him?
I did see him from a distance. He was seated on the sidewalk. I did not get close to him and did not know who he was at the time.
When you arrived, do you know if Lori Vallow was there?
I never saw her.
When you arrived and you said you met with other detectives, were you given an assignment or task to do?
I was.
What was that?
I was asked to assist Detective Coons with the crime scene and basically be an extra set of eyes and hands for him when processing this crime scene.
Okay. So you're with Detective Coons. Was there also anyone else assisting you?
At some point, Detective Werther was there as well, and we had a patrol officer that was standing by helping us and also a crime scene investigator with us.
Okay. Before you can enter the house, did you obtain or did you have someone write a search warrant so you could go in the house?
Yes,
So does that mean you guys had to just kind of wait around for that to be approved?
absolutely.
And then ultimately, did you enter the scene around 11:53 in the morning?
We did.
When you were helping to process this scene, you were not the case agent, right?
No, I was not.
Were you aware of the time of the 911, when the 911 call was placed?
I was aware at the time, at that particular moment, no, I was not.
Okay. Is that something you learned later?
Yes,
Did you include that in your report at some point?
I did.
Did you get the time correct in your report?
I did not.
Have you since verified through listening to the 911 call and looking at the CAD report of the time of that 911 call?
Yes, the correct time on the 911.
And this is a really good way. I do like the way the lawyer and this officer are addressing their mess up. And one of the things that you see effective lawyers on both sides, so either the state or the defense, is getting ahead of, bad information or bad fact patterns. So him admitting that he got the time wrong and that he went back to verify it takes the wind out of Lori's sails if she was going to come in and try to get him on, well, you had numerous errors in your report, one of them being the time of the 911 call, the discrepancy of which creates this timeline of shenanigans she would put out there. So this is something that I do believe that this lawyer is doing a really good job of here. I mean, it's a small thing, but it is one of those things that had she not addressed it herself or gotten in front of it, Lori could have looked like she had a point for once, which she still doesn't have. But I do like it when lawyers on either side get ahead of these bad facts I mean, there are some facts that just aren't going to look good for anyone, like Linda Sturmer, I ran my husband over to go get him help. There are some facts that you just can't get ahead of.
Call is 8:36 hours that I noticed through the 911 call and CAD in reviewing for this. Then I did notice that in my supplemental report, I noted the wrong time of 8:32.
Okay. Were you aware of who made the 911 call?
I was.
And who was that?
Alex Cox.
So when you are finally allowed to enter the home, can you tell us what you observed when you first walked in?
Well, prior to walking in, we had a crime scene technician go through and take overall photographs of the entire residence. After that, we utilized the Lizard Q system to take additional photographs. Once that was complete, then we made entry in to kind of make our own observations. The front door faces to the west of this home, and as you enter, there's a small foyer. Blue is white and black checkered flooring, and then you step into what I refer to as a great room that had no furnishings. There was a mirror on the north wall, a large picture window on the east wall, a mirror on the south wall, and a mirror on the west wall. I noticed the body of the deceased, later identified as Charles Vallow, laying on the western portion of the room. He was in what we call the supine position, with his head to the north and his feet to the south, and his arms on each side of his body.
Okay. When you saw Charles Vallow, did he appear to be fit?
Yes.
When you went into the scene, did you notice a lot of blood around the scene?
We did not.
When you were looking at Charles Vallow, you told us that his hands were each to his sides, correct?
Correct.
Did you notice any blood on his left hand?
I did.
Where did you notice that?
I noticed some blood in the webbing, we call the webbing of Charles's left hand. And in seeing that blood and with not seeing any other blood, The only source of blood for that to come in contact with would have been on Charles' chest. So I felt that that could have been from him placing his hand to his chest at one point before finally coming to rest.
So the flooring around where Charles's hand was, there was no blood around that floor area.
Correct.
I'm going to put up, if I can have the Elmo, exhibit 40. There we go. All right, so what we see here in exhibit 40, when you arrived, fire had already gone in, done whatever treatment, and removed themselves from the residence, right?
Yes,
So you can still see some of their equipment attached to Charles, correct?
correct.
And then what we're looking at here is his left hand.
Yeah, his left hand on top of his left thumb and on the side of his left index finger.
And I'm putting 41 up. Is that what you observed?
Yes,
So even around Mr. Vallow, did you notice a lot of pooling of blood around him?
I did not.
Did you notice more sort of after the medical examiner's office came and enrolled him and moved him around?
Yes,
You talked about mirrors in that room. Did you notice any cracks or damage to any of those mirrors?
I did not.
Did you see the bat in the room?
I did.
Was that on Charles's right or left side?
It was on his right side above his, more north of his head.
And when you are
Okay, so Lori's, if we remember Lori's redonkulous story, now Charles is left-handed, has always batted left-handed, and I think pitched. Again, not a sports person, but I think whatever he did with his left hand in the minor leagues. But Lori, the way she was pantomiming, again, him having the bat, she had it in her right hand and she was doing a backhand motion like you would swing with tennis. It was a very odd movement and not something that I could see, again, with muscle memory and a bat, something that you've, held thousands of times within your career and, being in high school, little league and things like that. You would tend to hold it the way you normally hold your bat, so in your left hand. But the fact that it's in his right hand and above, none of this makes sense.
processing that room, are you looking for any potential blood evidence that's not just on or around Charles Vallow?
Yes, we are. We're constantly looking for any kind of blood evidence that would help us tell the story. Any kind of movement of somebody who had bled and then moved through the house to try to better explain what had happened.
So in this case, did you check that wood floor in that called great room for any blood drops or spatters or smears that might be on the floor that wasn't like right under Charles?
Yes.
Did you find any?
No.
Did you go into the other rooms in the house and help search for any other blood evidence?
I did.
And did you note any blood drops or smears or anything else on the flooring or walls in any other rooms?
Not on the flooring and walls. The only other location of blood that was present would have been on the faucet of the kitchen sink.
And that was that small drop right on the faucet itself? Or,
I would more smear, or I would call it a drop, but yeah, there was a red substance consistent with blood on that faucet.
okay. Were you looking around the room for any towels or shirts or anything else that may have been used to, whether it was clean up or stop bleeding?
We were.
Did you find any?
No.
At some point, as you are going through the scene, did you go into what I'm going to call the pink room?
The pink room, or
With the gun?
Yes, I did.
Put up an exhibit here. When you went into that room, were you, and I guess I can call it the pink as well as black and white striped room, exhibit 71. Did you observe this orange duffel bag, the garbage bag with some clothes, and then the gun laying on the floor next to the duffel bag.
I did.
Were you responsible for making that gun safe?
I was.
What did you do to make the gun safe?
So obviously, we, with help of our crime scene technician, we photograph the gun, the bag, and everything as it is in place. That's how we found it. At that point, I would place some gloves on and pick up the gun, also looking for any kind of blood or biological evidence on the gun while I'm looking at the gun. I would eventually do what's called making the gun safe. I would remove the magazine from the gun, set that aside, and then cycle the slide to remove any kind of cartridge that's inside of the chamber. In this case, this is a Springfield XD handgun. The magazine was released and removed. The cycle was manipulated.
Okay, G14, I was unaware of that. I will have to look back at my notes when Kay testified, because I thought I had heard her say that he was left-handed, at least baseball-wise, but I've been moving my room around, so I don't have access to my notes right now. But if that is the case, I will retract my statement. I just had heard, again, it's been a long week, so maybe I misheard that. I will have to look at my notes.
And a single .45 caliber cartridge fell out.
I'm going to put up a couple. We see in 78 is sort of that your hand holding the magazine that you removed,
It is.
and then 86 is that your hand with the single casing.
Yes, it is.
When you were going through this evidence, was there inside that orange bag that we see in Exhibit 82 a gun case?
Yes,
Did that gun case have any locks on it?
it did not.
It's just plastic clasp to hold it closed?
Correct.
Here's another thing that really bothers me. Look, this is not the channel nor the time, nor do I have the requisite amount of alcohol in me to debate the Second Amendment. But I think anyone and everyone can agree that if you're in a house with a small child or children, those need to be locked up. The fact that he had a case just in a room, and I get it, maybe it was up high, but do you want to know how many stories I've done on Mornings with Mo and just in my local area where kids didn't realize that a firearm wasn't a toy, decided to play, found it out somewhere it shouldn't be. It's just one of my big pet peeves. I don't tell people how to feel about the Second Amendment, but it does piss me off when people don't take really good responsibility of that, and those are dangerous things. Believe me, I got tired of covering it on Mornings with Mo, so I don't generally cover the stories, but it does piss me off.
And was there extra magazines inside that gun case?
There were.
Now, when you process a scene and the evidence is then taken to police impound, do you sometimes go through it better there away from the scene?
Yes.
I'm going to put up Exhibit 81 here, that orange duffel bag. I think it's this way. Did you later go through the duffel bag?
I did.
And is there an outside pocket on that?
There is.
Did you locate a debit card in there?
I did.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 234. Do you recognize Exhibit 234?
I do.
And what is that?
It's a health savings account card in the name of Alexander Cox.
State will move to admit Exhibit 234.
Any objection?
Does anyone in the chat know what Alex's job was? Because, I mean, he has a health savings card. I didn't know that I'd ever looked into where he was employed as. I kind of was under the general impression that he didn't work, but maybe he did. I will say that honestly, Alex, when he passed away, I didn't dig into him at all because it was all so crazy.
I hear him. I'm thinking.
234 is admitted.
So Alexander Cox, is that the name of the person who called 911?
Yes, it is.
And when you are, let me ask you a little bit about the gun a little more. So this gun that you made safe, when you're looking at it, did you look at all the sides of it to see if there was, again, any blood evidence on it?
Yes,
Did you see any?
I did not.
And that's something you are going to check to make sure you don't potentially change the way it looks?
Correct.
Did you know when you went in to process the scene that Alex Cox had an injury to the back of his head?
I don't know. When I went in, no, I did not.
Did you learn at some point that he did?
Yes.
Knowing that he had an injury to his head, did that play in? Well, let me ask you, when did you learn that?
I believe it was during the investigation. We learned that Alex had sustained an injury to his head. So with that, made us more aware of potential other blood evidence, and that's why we were looking for that.
Okay. So is that why one of the reasons why you're looking on this gun to see if there was any blood transferred from him potentially touching his injury and manipulating the gun at some point?
Yes, from our understanding, there was some sort of assault with this, or assault with a bat, and then Alex then retrieved to the bedroom to get the gun. So our understanding is if you get hit with a bat and you're bleeding, that you would hopefully bring some sort of blood evidence onto the gun, and then what happens after, there's more blood evidence as well.
So you would have documented that and then made sure it was collected if you'd seen that.
Absolutely.
But here we photographed the gun without any blood evidence on it.
Yes.
Do you also, when you obtain a gun, look at the serial number?
Yes.
Why is that relevant?
We want to know who it returns to, who owns that gun.
And did you determine who owned that gun?
We did.
Who owned the gun, the Exhibit 247, that Springfield?
Alex Cox.
Now, at some point, we've heard the medical examiner came to remove Charles Vallow's body, correct?
Yes,
And were you present when that happened?
I was.
And did you and the others that were processing the scene clean up the blood on the floor that had been left underneath him?
I did.
And when you were cleaning up the blood, did you notice anything on the floor that stood out to you where he had been located?
Yes, I did.
What did you notice?
When cleaning up the blood, I immediately noticed a defect in the floor consistent with a bullet strike that would have been close to or right on this area where the exit wound would have been on Charles' left shoulder.
So you had seen the floor and been processing that room while Charles was laying there, correct?
Right.
And once his body was removed, there's a pool of blood underneath where he was.
Correct.
And I know I've said this in nearly every stream on this particular trial, but especially coming off the Karen Reed case, just having a thorough, well-documented, investigation has been refreshing, going back to police taking pictures of things, having, crime scene analyst, having them document everything with scale, in the normal sort of, middle distance, close and then extreme close up with scale. It's just been very nice to go back to a normal kind of investigation because it's been a while since we've seen one.
And in that area, let me put up Exhibit 60, is where you then observed that bullet strike.
That is correct.
I'm going to put up a little bit further back of one. Hold on. Let me put up 56. Although it's harder to see, the marker itself is next to where that bullet strike is.
Yes.
So when you are seeing this, what comes to your mind at that point?
Well, in this scene, we're trying to make sense of kind of what happened with limited information. We know we have two casings, and we know we have two projectiles. We have a projectile that's into the wall, and we also have a projectile that is near Charles' body. We believe, obviously, the first shot or a shot went through and through his body, causing two holes and entered into the wall. The other shot we have is a low left abdominal entry, and what we believe, and not confirmed until autopsy, but a upper left trajectory near his shoulder. We looked through the room to where this projectile could have exited throughout the room, and then landed in that spot near where Charles was. And we did not see anything until his body was removed and the blood was cleaned up.
So you're looking like walls and trying to find any other location where the bullet may have struck and bounced back and ended up in the floor there.
Correct.
And you didn't find any defects or any holes or anything other than the one bullet that was in that baseboard.
Correct.
So when you see this now, did you feel that was consistent with the bullet striking the floor underneath you?
Only if you factor in that he was wearing a bamboo t-shirt. Charles, on one of the weirdest sidetracks that we went on this trial, Lori Vallow, sovereign citizen woman, decided to go on a unique set of tangents in which, $180 or $200 bamboo cotton t-shirt with a tight weave or knit is in fact equivalent to Kevlar. I kid you not, I kid you not. Lori did try to explain that his very expensive t-shirt was in fact akin to Kevlar.
Charles and him being on the floor when he was shot.
100%.
Because of that, did you end up actually cutting out and collecting that board?
We did.
And then you said that you were wanting to know if that was confirmed during an autopsy, correct?
Yes,
Did you attend the autopsy?
I did not.
During this initial investigation on July 11th of 2019, did you ever search Charles Vallow's rental car?
I did not.
So Lori Vallow had his car all day and nobody looked inside of it.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Initially, as a person who was just working the scene with Detective Kuntz, did that sort of end your investigation or your involvement for at least July 11th?
Yes.
What was your next involvement in this case?
My next involvement had some, prior to June of 2020, June of 2020 is when I was assigned the status of case agent in this case. Prior to that, I did help Detective Moffat with analyzing and just sorting through iCloud phone records and other data for him.
So we have heard about cell phones that had been extracted from retired Detective McDonald. That was Charles Vallow's cell phone. So was
Yes.
that one item of evidence that had been collected?
Yes.
Did you review any of that extracted data?
Yes, I did.
Did those extractions include things from emails,
Yes.
text messages,
Yes.
sort of anything you might expect to see on anyone's smartphone?
Correct.
When you are looking through this, did you look through both Charles' iPhone extraction and later some iCloud account extractions?
I did.
What are iClouds?
The best way to describe an iCloud is it's cloud.
Harry Potter magic that works on computers, or whatever he's going to say. But honestly, at this point, and with my level of computer knowledge, Harry Potter magic that works on computers.
Storage for Apple products. If you have a MacBook or a phone or a Mac computer and you use an iCloud email address, and then the information from all of those would be stored under one iCloud account.
So someone can intentionally store things there?
Yes, you can choose what you want to store in there. A lot of times there's a default on there, but you can go through and manipulate as to what you want saved in your cloud or backed up in your cloud.
So there can also be things, if a default is on, that are people maybe not even aware that are being saved up there.
Correct.
I say up there as if it's really a cloud, but whatever. When you were reviewing this data, did you, without going into anything specifics, did you see interactions between Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow prior to about June 27th of 2019?
I did.
And did you see interactions with Charles Vallow and Lori Vallow after June 27th of 2019?
Yes,
Did you see a change in those interactions?
definitely.
Did you learn from reviewing Charles Vallow's cell phone extraction and iCloud accounts that Charles had found an email sent to Chad Daybell that was purportedly written by him?
Yes, I did.
Did that involve an email address, kkwalker75@yahoo?
Yes, it did.
Did Charles Vallow in fact save a copy of that email into his account?
Yes, he did.
In reviewing Charles Vallow's cell phone extraction and iCloud account prior to this time in June, had you seen any use of this kkwalker75@yahoo.com email address? Prior to June 27th of 2019, had you seen Charles Vallow utilizing that email address?
Had I seen Charles utilize it? Sorry, no, I did not.
Okay. So even though you're going through his account, you're seeing emails by him, right?
Right.
And you're seeing emails that are saved into his own iCloud account.
Yes.
But nothing in there was saved prior to June of 27th of 2019 relating to kkwalker75@yahoo.com.
That is correct.
Was the first time that you kind of became aware of this account when you saw that Charles had saved an email and then began texting Lori Vallow about it?
Yes.
Did you find multiple text messages or SMS messages from Charles Vallow to Lori Vallow relating to this letter?
Yes, I did.
Did you find evidence that Charles Vallow, after discovering this email, contacted Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Did you find evidence that after Charles Vallow found this kkwalker75 email address, that Charles Vallow contacted Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
Was a search warrant executed?
That email is so weird. Again, if you are kind of new to the Lori Vallow multiverse of weird and stupid craziness, masquerading, well, selfishness masquerading as craziness, or however the mask is worn, she's wearing a couple. That being said, so Lori, allegedly, because Charles was very confused, someone purporting to be Charles had reached out, emailed Chad Daybell, because he was a very prolific author and a good author, to basically write Charles's story. Now, I don't know what, it kind of was talking about him being in the minor leagues and this, that, and the other. But as to the sort of reason he wanted to write his memoir or write about his time in the minor leagues was never really explained and was patently false according to Charles. He never sent this out. He had no idea who Chad was other than, at these preparing a people conventions that Lori liked to go to. He was kind of well known in those circles, but as far as being a prolific and or celebrated author, Chad Daybell is not. That being said, this was kind of the first thing that got Charles thinking that there was something going on between Chad and Lori, that there was an affair or something, and why he reached out to Tammy Daybell to kind of give her a heads up that he got a really hinky feeling. He thought that their spouses were up to something. And, this is the reason he thought it. He sent her a copy of the, email and said, hey, I didn't send this, so something's going on. I'm getting a bad feeling. Just thought you ought to know.
On Yahoo for that kkwalker75@yahoo.com.
It was.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 289.
Okay.
Does 289 include first an affidavit from Yahoo authenticating the kkwalker75@yahoo.com account?
It does.
Does it include information for the subscriber?
It does.
And does it include a portion of the emails associated with that account?
Yes, it is.
When you looked at the subscriber information, what was the name of the person subscribing to this?
Karen Walker.
Did that person provide a phone number?
Yes, they did.
And so when they're subscribing to sign this up, is that often a requirement to provide some sort of phone number or way to authenticate these?
Yes,
Did you recognize that phone number?
I did.
How did you recognize it?
The phone number was linked to an old phone number for Lori Vallow.
Was that her 480 phone number?
Yeah, last ending in 4652.
So you had seen text messages from Lori Vallow to other family members and people under that phone number
Correct.
in her iCloud account?
Correct.
Did you also note when that account was opened?
Yes, it was opened in April, get the exact date, April of 2019, April 21st.
April 21st of 2019. Would that have been when Lori Vallow?
Lori, you could have used Proton Mail like Chandler Halderson. Now you would have had to get burner phones from Walgreens, but we do know you know where Walgreens is because you got flip-flops. So that being said, yeah, Lori, seriously, you used a phone associated with you? Awesome. Just awesome. Carmen Sandiego, you are not.
And Charles Vallow were now in Houston.
Yes,
Did you also note in the context itself reference to requesting Chad Daybell come out to Houston?
I did.
The state will move to admit 289 pursuant to 803 and 902.
Any objection?
Relevance, Your Honor.
289 submitted.
If I may publish.
Go ahead.
So zoom in a little closer for us. Is this the subscriber information that Yahoo sent? Let me first say, so they send you an authentication, correct? And then they sent you subscriber information. Is that what you were looking at where you noted a phone number that you recognized as belonging to Lori Vallow?
Yes,
And again, this shows when the account was created on Sunday, April 21st,
yes,
but the name associated was Karen Walker.
correct.
Were you provided with a timeline of when this account was used?
I was.
So April 21st through June 26th?
Yes,
In looking at Charles Vallow's iCloud account and cell phone extraction, was this right before he discovered that email?
yes,
Now, some of the emails that were sent starting sort of April 21st were to Brother Daybell, to Chad Daybell.
yes.
And we see,
Well, can I say I'm okay if Chad isn't my brother? Like, I'm okay. Like, we've removed him. We've excommunicated him from the family. I get that this is common nomenclature. A lot of churches, local churches, Baptist churches will use, brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so. So this is not something I haven't been acculturated in, but any family that claims Chad is not one I want to be a part of.
up here to Chad Daybell, correct?
Correct.
And then we see the date of Sunday, April 21st of
Correct.
2019.
Yes,
And so in this email, do we see that Karen is inviting Brother Daybell to Houston?
yes,
In these messages was a final message, one that you found saved by Charles Vallow on or around June 27th or 28th. This, what we see is exhibit again 289.
correct.
In this message, it's from the KK Walker email.
It is.
So these prior emails, we saw a person purporting to be Karen.
Okay. Hello, Chad. He. Really, Lori? Hope you're doing well. Like, this is Charles Vallow from Arizona. We really enjoyed having you stay with us back in November when you came to the Preparing a People conference, because they're preparing for me. I appreciated you taking the time to talk to me about the book I've been working on. Yeah, because Chad is going to be the one I'll talk to. I'd rather talk to Stephen King. And I don't even particularly like his books. That being said,
Walker using Lori Daybell's phone number,
no
writing to
way.
Brother Daybell, right?
Yes.
But here we see someone again from this same email now purporting to be Charles Vallow,
Yes.
again talking about a Preparing the People conference.
Correct.
And had you heard of the Preparing the People conference before?
I had.
Is that something that Lori Vallow was involved in?
Yes,
And is that something we've heard about through testimony here at court?
we have.
In this, does Charles Vallow, or the person writing this email, again, ask Chad Daybell to come out to visit?
Yes.
To help write a book?
Correct.
And so is this then the email that Charles then began reaching out to Lori, Chad, and Tammy about?
Yes.
We had heard from Adam that he also had learned of this. Did you see evidence of Charles Vallow also sending this letter that we see in 289 to Adam?
I did.
Based upon your review of the case and the dates on here, did Charles Vallow begin confronting Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell about the affair less than 2 weeks before he was killed?
He did.
And did you in fact see emails that Charles Vallow sent to Chad Daybell on June 29th and 30th?
I did.
And did you in fact see emails that Charles Vallow sent to Tammy Daybell on June 29th and June 30th of 2019?
I did.
At the time, on June 29th, 30th, where was Charles residing at that time?
During that time, Charles was in Houston, Texas.
During that time, where was Lori Vallow?
She was in Arizona.
We have this timeline where Charles Vallow begins reaching out to Lori and Chad's wife about this affair. Was the first time that Charles Vallow saw Lori Vallow after him discovering this email on July 11th of 2019?
I believe so. There was a scheduled trip around the 4th of July, but was canceled. So the next time they would have seen each other would have been the July 11th.
So based upon your review of SMS messages, iCloud accounts, did Charles help Lori move here to Arizona about a week before this email?
Yes.
So he had seen her prior to learning about this,
Correct.
and then when he came out here to see JJ.
Yes.
When you were reviewing, well, let me ask you this. Were search warrants executed to obtain not only Charles Vallow's iCloud accounts, but Lori Vallow's iCloud accounts?
Yes, they were.
Were there two different iCloud accounts that were, that search warrants were executed on?
Yes,
Was one of them Lori for Style at iCloud.com?
it was.
Was the other one Lollytime at iCloud.com?
It was.
In reviewing those records, did you ever find evidence?
Lolly time like Lolita? I mean, I've heard like Elizabeth or Charlotte being called Lottie or Lolly, but ew. Now I'm imagining Lori Vallow in lolly wear. It's not a good picture, folks. It's not a good picture.
Screenshots of flights that Lori Vallow went to Idaho in March of 2019?
I did.
And did you ever find evidence, screenshots of flights that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow flew back to Arizona together on March 19th of 2019? Now, we heard from Adam Cox last week. And he testified about text messages and interactions that he and Charles had leading up to July 11th. When you were going through the extractions of Charles Vallow's phone, did you see text messages between Charles Vallow and Adam Cox?
Yes.
And did those match what we observed? And I'm going to put up 210 here that was previously admitted. Were these the messages that were previously admitted, Exhibit 210, the same ones you saw in Charles Vallow's phone?
Yes, they are.
Okay. When you were reviewing the text messages or SMS messages for July 11th of 2019, do phones and the extractions advise when a message is received as well as when it's read?
It would show that, yes, in the Cellbrite report. Yes.
Okay. So, for instance, we see here a time and a read, correct?
Correct.
So when a message is incoming, it'll show when it's read.
Correct.
Obviously, when it's outgoing, we don't have that, correct? So as you were looking at those messages on the cell phone extraction, did you see as Charles is arriving, he's sending messages to Adam?
Yes, that's correct.
And then he receives a message from Adam at 7:36:19,
Yes.
and he read that. I'm going to pull in just a little closer so we can see. At 7:36:27,
Yes.
so just a few seconds later.
Correct.
And then again, he gets that message from Adam, they're planning something. And did he, again, read that like simultaneously?
Yes.
And then did Charles send a message within a few seconds of reading that? Absolutely.
Correct.
And then again, this timing is just within seconds, like just ongoing conversation.
Yes.
Do we see that just a few seconds later, Adam sends a message to Charles, I was supposed to spend the night at the house last night, she probably blocked that.
Yes, I do.
And then again, another 20 seconds later, Charles sends Adam a message, what you do is up to you.
Yes.
Then we see that Adam sends a message back to Charles again within another 17 seconds or something. I'm going to put the pressure to have him come get me now, see what he says. And that was read again, when?
12:13.
And again, did Adam send a second message? Where he says, okay. And when was that read?
12:13.
And then Adam sends another message now. So these first two were at 7:37:29 and 7:37:39.
Yes.
And those were not read like these.
I guess that makes sense. I didn't credit Lori with the self-control to not look at Charles's phone like immediately. That being said, she also was going to the police station doing the interview, and she is at least smart enough or cunning enough to know not to play with Charles's phone in front of the police officers.
Other ones almost simultaneously, correct?
Correct.
So after Charles said, what you do is up to you, it doesn't appear that he is any longer reading those emails.
Correct.
Or text messages, I apologize. The last text message that Adam sent then at 7:49 and 34 seconds was, me and Zach are going to the Stake Center tonight at 8 to play basketball. Holmes is always there, either playing ball or interviewing people. I will try to catch him to have a conversation with my old friend, right?
Correct.
When was that read?
12:13 as well.
Is Charles Vallow alive at 12:13?
He is not.
So someone else is reading those.
Yes.
And this is coming from the extraction of Charles Vallow's phone.
Correct.
Do you know?
All right, you guys. So it looks like he's going to be on for a fairly good amount of time. We're going to have lunch, and then we'll get to Lori cross-examining him. But we will try to do this tomorrow. So I'm going to probably put that up for, let me see what the weather's going to be like, but I'll probably put that up around 9 or 10 tomorrow for the stream. But I'll get the stream set up tonight. I'm just trying to figure out what time I'm going to be starting it tomorrow. And I have you guys redirected to go to Sal's 6 months of sobriety celebration stream. So I will be hanging out there tonight at around, let me make sure, double check the time. Okay, 7 p.m. Central or Eastern time. So I'll be hanging out with Sal, celebrating his awesome, just taking control of his life and being sober for 6 months and, getting to catch up with him. So I hope you enjoy that and, give it a scope out. Sal is super fun and does a lot of the strange, weird trials that I don't have all the time to cover, but he has a good one. I think it's the the Jensen case, he kind of has a lot of the backhand information about that kind of stuff, a lot of the filings and freedom of information stuff. So he did a lot of work on that. So give him a check out. But I will be hanging out there this evening and then hanging out with you guys tomorrow, working on getting off, well, at least getting more done with the Lori Vallow case. So thank you guys for joining us. Well, for joining on the Petty Express, where I just mostly have this kind of face going on. Because what the hell, Lori? I swear. Every time I think I have a cogent thought, Lori comes up and destroys my train of focus. But be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because you might end up with Lori, with no shoes on, trying to buy flip-flops in a Walmart. And ain't nobody got time for that. Bye, you guys.